Hello and good morning. So today we are going to create abstract designs using color palettes. You're also going to apply other principles into your work, such as balance, harmony, contrast. Okay, and as you guys start creating these posters, everything should kind of fall into place. All right, so here are some examples that I've used. You're going to create 6 different posters. They're each going to be 11 inches by 17 inches. For these ones, you can go ahead and set your DPI to 72. We're going to try that and see if it helps run Photopea a little smoother, okay? So what we have here are 6 different designs. I'm actually going to show you how to name them. So you will have the triadic, but we're going to call them complementary, split complementary, double complementary, and I'll go through that really quick with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Some things that you're going to use today are the color wheel. Okay, so these are, and as you can tell, depending on what website you look at, the color themes are going to be called something different. Nonetheless, they're all the same. So primary, analogous, secondary, complementary, intermediate, and split complementary. Okay. So the things we're going to be using today, again, are the color wheel and color.adobe.com. Okay, this is a really cool website to help you grab color palettes. And of course, Photopea. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to set up my document. So I'm going to create a new document. I'm going to name this one, we're going to start with, let's see, monochromatic. Make sure you spell it right. And it's actually, I'll show you where to find how to spell it if you're not sure. Go ahead and leave your DPI set to 72 and then hit create. Okay, so what we're going to do the first thing after we create our artboard is we're going to go to color.adobe and we're going to pick a color scheme. So over here, if you notice, we're working on monochromatic for the first one, right? So Adobe's got these choices all set up for us. All we have to do is click on that little button and it's going to help us choose a monochromatic color scheme. So what you're going to do is you want to make sure that you move this circle, the one with the arrow, okay? It's got a little arrow in it. Let me move my cursor. That little white arrow. If you move this one, it's going to split it up. And actually, on this option, it's not going to split it up. It'll give you a third color option. So it's going to show you where that color picker is. But what you do is you just click and drag it around the color wheel. Okay. You can move each point around and you're just going to pick a color. Okay, so monochromatic means one color, just different shades and tones. Okay, so you're going to pick one and I'm just going to drag it around. Let's see, let's just go with, let's come over here. Let's go ahead and pick something. So we'll go with this one. Okay, so these are my colors right here that I'm going to use. And every color has a hex code. All right, so it's this number with the pound symbol or the hashtag, as you guys call it. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to copy this number. So we'll highlight it, Control C, and then we're going to go to Photopea. So to start this, we're going to click on the shape tool, click on our rectangle, go to the fill color, and we need to actually put that hex code right here. Okay, so we're going to select this and hit Control V to paste that number and then hit OK. And there's our first color. Now we're going to draw out a triangle. We need to make sure our stroke is set to no stroke. Okay, so we don't want a stroke on this project, just a fill color. Okay, so I'm going to draw out my first square. So I'm just going to hold Shift and click and drag, and it will fill in that color for me. All right, so the next thing I am going to do is actually make a copy of that shape because I want my next one to be the same exact size. So you're going to do this 5 times. Okay, so Control J, and then I'm going to go to my Adobe, choose the next color, go back to Photo P, make sure I'm on that shape copy number 1. Okay, go to my hex code and paste that next number in, and I'm going to go to my Move tool and drag it over to the side, and now I have 2. So I'm going to repeat the process. Control J to make a copy, go to Adobe Color, select that next color, go back to my shape tool, change my color, hit OK, go to my Move tool and move that box over. Repeat that step. I'm on number 4. You're going to have 5 different colors. Okay, so this is number 4. Paste the color, hit OK, move it over so I can see what's underneath it. And one last time, choose the last color, go back, create a new shape, change the fill, hit OK, and move that last color over. All right, so now what I have them all, I'm going to line them all up equally. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold the Shift key, click on the last shape, and distribute my centers evenly. Make sure that all the centers are lined up. And I'm going to give my poster a title. So right above your color palette, you're going to type in monochromatic. Don't care what font type you use. I'm just going to leave mine the default. I'll have to resize it. Okay, so you just want it to fit right above your color palette. All right, the next step is to create your workspace. All right, so we have this giant artboard. What we're going to do is create another rectangle, pick a color that you want your background to be. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it the one that I'll change it. So I'm going to go here, and if you notice, all of my color palette, my whole color palette is actually right here now. Okay, now that I've started adding those colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to oops, I don't think it changed it. Okay, so when I open it up, I click on it, get the color picker, and then I can just click on this color down here, hit OK, and now I can draw out a shape. I actually want this. This is the only shape that I want you to have a stroke on, and that just gives you a nice border. So I'm just going to hit black. I'll leave it to the default size. I don't need it to be too big. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing out some shapes. So these are going to be random. Remember, you're creating abstract designs. Okay, so you can use circles, triangles, rectangles, ovals, whatever. Just try to stay away from the custom shapes because I noticed when I started using the custom shapes, I was more focused on the shape design than I was my actual drawing, okay, or piece of art. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a minimum of 5 different shapes, all right? Just randomly place them onto the page. And you're going to find that as you start doing this, you're going to see some sort of balance going on in your work. It just kind of happens as you're creating this type of artwork. Oh, and actually I forgot to change my stroke back to black. So I'm going to select all 3 of these and take that stroke off of there. Okay. So you just want a solid color, no stroke. All right. So you can select all of them if you make the mistake of adding a stroke. You can do more than 5 shapes, but minimum is 5, okay? So just be aware of that. So, or 5, yeah, 5 shapes. You're going to use the 5 different colors, okay? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be enough to turn in this project. All right, so if you want to keep going and add some more shapes because you like how it's looking, that's totally fine. That's up to you. But minimum is 5 shapes. So now I'm going to save this. So I'm going to save the PSD and I'm going to say export the JPEG. And you're going to turn in the JPEG file and save the PSD file in your Google Drive. Okay, so now I'm going to, without closing this one, I'm going to create a new document. And the next one I'm going to create is going to be the Anaglyph. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go down until you get to double split complementary. You're going to create these first 6 choices, all right? So don't go past the double split. So the next one is the Anaglyph. I should have started with that one. All right, so you see that it's got these 5 different colors, okay? So what I was talking about, if you move one of these, it's going to split them apart and give you something completely different. So you want to make sure that you're moving this circle, the one that has the arrow, okay? So if you move it, everything will follow exactly how it should be. If you move one of these, it's going to split them apart, and that's not what we want, okay? So you want to keep it just like this. Move it around and choose your second color palette. You can go lighter, change the shade, or you can go darker. Okay, it's up to you. You notice there's a very slight variation between these 2 colors. So, all right, so you'll pick your next color palette, and now the numbers have changed, right? Every single number, again, and you don't even have to move this hardly at all in order for those numbers to change. Okay, so I'm going to name this Anaglyph. I think I spelled that wrong. Oh, no, I did. Okay. Oh, A-N-A, not A-N-O. And hit create. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually color or copy these shapes onto this next artboard so you don't have to draw them out again. The only thing you're going to have to do is change the colors. So I'm going to click on that first shape, go up to, I know that the next thing I did after I made my shapes was made my title. So I'm going to hold the shift key and click, and then it copied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the layers now that they're selected and drag them to this browse or to this tab and just let go. And it put those there so I don't have to redraw them. All I have to do is go to my shape tool and make sure to select your first shape, go to my shape tool and change the fill color. Okay, so again, you're going to copy each one and paste it here. And there's my next color. All right, so you're going to repeat that process. So your next color palette artboard, you don't want to use the same types of shapes that you used before, okay? So let's just, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to pause it and I'm going to fill these colors in with my Anaglyph colors. All right, so I wanted to show you some tricks with the shape tool. Okay, so if I have a rectangle, I can come in here. And I know on the first one I said not to use a stroke on your shape, but actually I kind of want to show you, oops, let me drag this up there, what you can do. You can use a stroke. I'm going to take that back. So what you can do is actually use one of the colors in your color palette to use as a stroke color. This will add contrast to your design. Okay, so if I click on the stroke and then I click on the color and then come down here and choose a stroke, it'll give you a little bit of contrast on your design. You can increase the stroke size, how large that border is, okay, by adjusting this slider. If you click on this arrow, you're going to get some different options. Okay, so this is going to tell you where that stroke lies on your shape. Okay, you go move it to the inside, outside. The color is a little difficult to see on this these colors, but it is changing. Okay, center. So just depending on where you want it to fall, you can change the corners. So on the corner here, if you, let me see if I can zoom in. I might have to go over to my move tool. Let me zoom in a little bit. So if you watch when I change the corner on that shape, so right now it's square. If you click on round, it'll give you some rounded corners. If you click on this one, it's going to kind of cut them off. So it looks like they were just sheared off. Okay, which is cool. You can do that. You can use, right now we're using a regular straight full line. You can change it to dashed and adjust the spacing. Okay, so if I made this 3, it's going to adjust the spacing of my dashes. Let's see what happens. If you change this one, I believe this one is going to adjust the spacing, the distance of those lines. All right. Another thing you can try is a dotted line. Okay, so this put dots around your border. You can increase how close together they are if you want. You can change how far apart they are. All right, let me try to think. Oh, you can change if they are, obviously that one doesn't do anything. This makes them round, okay, so circles, and this one makes them squares, which is kind of cool. Okay, and if you use this, this is only if it's a solid fill. The one that changes the dots is going to be the top one. I believe it does that for this one as well. Let's find out. Yeah, so this will make you have more of an oval, and this one doesn't look like it does anything, but this one gives you kind of those oval shapes. All right, and again, zooming in closer, you can see where it falls on the line. Okay, so that completely changes the entire look of your design as well. Okay, so don't be afraid to try playing around with that. You could even use just the stroke rather than having a fill. So if I took the fill off and only had a stroke around it, you could do that too. Okay, and that gives you a really cool effect. Just make sure that, like with this one, I don't want to be above my art box. All right, so I'm going to click on that shape and just use my arrow tool and nudge it down below that line. All right, or make it right at the line. Okay, so that is your project. So you can mix shapes. So in my example, there are actually mixed shapes. So this one, there's some lines, and then there's some circles. There's some full circles. There's some circles with just the strokes. The same thing with this one. There's some lines. There's a circle. All right, on this one, there's a cutoff circle. So have fun with it, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.